Rejecting US President Donald Trump's call for OPEC to lower oil prices in order to help end the Russia-Ukraine war, the Kremlin stated on Friday that the conflict is about national security, not oil. In response to a question at a daily press briefing, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov emphasized that for Russia, the issues in Ukraine are centered around national security, the safety of Russians living in the region, and the refusal of the US and Europe to address Russia's concerns, rather than the price of oil.
The conflict doesn't depend on oil prices. The conflict is ongoing because of the threat to Russia's national security, the threat to Russians living on those territories, and the refusal by the Americans and the Europeans to listen to Russia's security concerns.
The Kremlin's comments came after President Trump urged Saudi Arabia and OPEC on Thursday to lower oil prices. Trump argued that such a move would weaken Moscow's ability to fund its war in Ukraine, which relies heavily on revenues from gas and oil exports and could potentially force Russia to cease hostilities.
I'm also going to ask Saudi Arabia and OPEC to bring down the cost of oil. You got to bring it down, which frankly, I'm surprised they didn't do before the election. That didn't show a lot of love by them not doing it. I was a little surprised by that. If the price came down, the Russia-Ukraine war would end immediately. Right now, the price is high enough that that war will continue. You got to bring down the oil price. You got to end that war.
As part of his ongoing efforts to end the Russia-Ukraine war, which has now dragged on for over 3 years, Donald Trump has not only called for direct dialogue with President Putin, but has also threatened to impose new tariffs and economic sanctions on Russia. Trump has been vocal in his stance, urging Putin to immediately end what he described as the ridiculous war. Trump has made it clear that if a deal isn't reached soon, he will not hesitate to implement severe economic measures, including taxes, tariffs, and sanctions, aimed at pressuring Russia into ending the conflict. His message is clear: without resolution, Russia will face further economic isolation. In response to Trump's call for dialogue, Dmitry Peskov reaffirmed that Russian President Vladimir Putin remains open to dialogue with Trump, with both sides signaling the potential for renewed discussions.
Russia believes it is necessary to renew disarmament negotiations as soon as possible, especially since the legal framework in the field of arms control has been significantly undermined, and not because of the Russian Federation. The U.S. has terminated its commitment and undermined the existence of this legal framework. So in the interests of the whole world and in the interests of the peoples of our countries, of course, we are interested in starting this negotiation process as soon as possible. Putin is ready. We are waiting for signals. Everyone is ready. So it's hard to read coffee grounds here. As soon as we have some information, we will inform you.
The situation in Eastern Europe remains tense, while the world watches both two leaders weighing their next moves. Will Trump and Putin find common ground to resolve the conflict, or will their differences escalate the war even further? The fate of Ukraine and the stability of the entire region hang in the balance, with no clear resolution in sight.